Good morning, Azeroth. It is the 15th of May 2025. Grab your morning beverage and welcome to the stream. Today we'll be grinding up our rep for the Gallagio with our weekly LFR runs, as well as nipping at the nightfall dailies to slowly get our rep up there. Without any further ado, let's get stuck in. Hope you're doing well today. You're almost through the week. Take it steady, keep yourselves hydrated. You've got this. First things first, let's get queued up. Now, how many more weeks we'll have of getting through here? It depends. Where's the... We are renowned 10. Memory serves it's 20. Service rewards. It's a lot of stuff for inside the raid, which is not ideal, but we do get another mount. I love these buffs where it's just over time the raid will get easier. An 80% buff to damage and healing is pretty spicy. And then some titles. The ability to teleport is like when we get to the point in the future of doing it for transmog runs. I think that's going to be invaluable, like, way down the line. I wish there were some, like, bonus transmog options, but such as it is. It's a system that they'll get to continue to expand on in the future. It's the first time they've done it. Oh, this said normal yesterday. I'd have to review the footage. This definitely said... I put it in the short. It said normal. I'll take free gear. Huh. Where's the treasury person?
Yeah?
You.
What do you want?
I get free a week and can get anything I'd like at heroic level. But it is hero. Okay. We'll have some options then for finishing out some of our gear. Oh boy, it's a lot of rings and trinkets and that kind of thing. No boots. I'm trying to see if there's anything that I haven't already got on hero. I think it might just be my boots and my pants. Trinket, 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 trinket. I know these trinkets are probably meant to be, like, really good. Our raid trinkets. Maybe we consider one of these. It might be a matter of going up and looking up, what's my best in slot trinket from the raid? Ooh. Damage and healing from this one. Certainly some things to consider. There's so many trinkets. Or we can get the weapon. Because my weapon at the moment doesn't have any fancy bits on it. And versatility is kind of not great for PvE. I can get a two-hander that does something fancy. I mean, it doesn't look fancy. It won't be... I'll have to find a way. We'll transmog it. Absolutely. Two-hand axe, but it has nothing fancy on it. 4,400 or so strength. Where's the mace? Way more, because it's a limited edition, and it's still the same price. You know what? That actually might be a decent gear upgrade.
Have a good one.
But yeah, after yesterday, I just assumed, oh, well, I guess LFR isn't going to get me the turbo boost stuff, but here we are. Marvelous. It will definitely be an upgrade. Let me go and grab the enchant ahead of time. Radiant Power's the one we had. Fancy druid set on the Torrum with the skulls and the glowy blue bits.
An extended supply of goods for Outlanders.
Enhancements. Weapon. Radiant Authority. Beautiful.
My job.
Set up for success. We should be able to easily enough upgrade it to the same level as my sword. 4 bosses, which means after 2 runs of it, we'll get it. Last time the queue said 37 minutes last week, so it's open. Let's make our way over to Hallow Fall. Last night I did end up catching up and finishing those new episodes of Andor, so spoilers! Those interested who are going through and watching it. But I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. You know, we started off with a time skip, like the 1 year later thing, and I do adore that. I absolutely adore that. Didn't do too much to actually make use of that, other than just put the characters in other positions and where they would be after that frame of time. But still, that it creates new scenarios in a story in that case. But we had a really slow first episode. There was still infiltration, there was still intrigue, there was still violence, but it was really slow in its pacing, and I see that as a good thing. Because it was one of the main characters, Luthen, is in the process of trying to escape and getting caught by the Empire in Coruscant, you know, our main city. And his assistant, who we've known very little about, it starts interplaying her trying to ensure things go well. In this case meaning, oh, he's been captured, we can't have him being tortured for information, I have to make sure he dies. And we're intercutting her heading towards where he's being kept in hospital, because the moment he gets found out, he like tries to end his own life. Again, for that same purpose. And it just intercuts between flashbacks of how they met and their journey together, and it was really impactful. It went really well. Just these little snippets of where he came from and what, in theory, started the whole rebellion there, which I don't know my Star Wars lore that well. I'm not the biggest fan, but it really added a lot of stakes in a way that I didn't anticipate. And that whole episode is her slowly getting towards him. And those final moments from this is where we started, this is where we understand the stakes in play, to now I've got to end this man who I clearly love and end his life. And it was just so heartfelt in a way I didn't expect. So big props to them on that. Second episode suddenly is fast-paced again, and everyone trying to figure out what's going on Empire side more than anything, and just losing their shit. There's a scene with like the general called Krennic and the Dedra lady we followed along, who set a lot of this in motion. She's being arrested because of all the information that leaked out and that was found. And the scene where she's in the interrogation room and Krennic is in there with her. And just the acting from that dude was so wonderfully intimidating. But so calm for the most part. It got to this point at the end where she's then trying to get control back and is like, no, I can help and we should do this and this. And he just kind of grabs her face at the end and is like, we can do this without you, and leaves. And she's just like in a state. And you know, they have to wind back in all the Star Wars stuff. It's like, oh wait, this is all because we've been building the Death Star. We all know what the Death Star is. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan, you know what the bloody Death Star is. And the early stages of all that, and those insidious political plans that led to its creation, was fascinating. And like the, what's the word? The misinformation campaign to lead people astray was really well done. I found it's just an aspect of that franchise and that part of it, the building of it, that I hadn't even put to mind. And again, I don't know how much of that was already something folks were aware of in, you know, the deeper annals of the lore, for lack of a better term. And so seeing the, you know, They're building a giant moon-sized weapon that blows up planets. How do you cover that up? You know, we get into all of that. And I really liked it for that.
You little hooligans? I'll show 'em how we did it in my time to teach you.
Quickly remember, we gotta boot this dude, avoid stuff on the floor, turn into a garbage ball when we are selected. Run over the hyenas. But then the final episode is also another really slow one. We're catching up with people. They've made their rescue attempt. The big robot, the KX unit, gets some really fun scenes where he's just effectively beating down a load of Empire dudes on the way there on the penultimate episode. That was great. A little bit of droid comedy. Especially in a show that's been so devoid of comedy, it was kind of refreshing. But then that final episode was all about these, not necessarily goodbyes, but where we're at and the stakes that have been raised. And our hero going off to, so I don't know if they could get another series out of it. Maybe? But I don't think it'd be necessary. Surely if it's more successful than all the others, I'm sure they will. It was really cool to see. And then you've got to have these. It's one of my favourite things for any show, whether that's live action or anime or animated or what have you. But at the very end, we get just these little vignettes of different characters with me. I wish there'd been a few more. But you see a lot of the characters in there, and it goes back to Daedra and where her career's ended up. And she is in one of those, like, prisons you'll never escape from. That main character escaped from with Andy Serkis earlier in the series. Although that poor bastard never got out. That was a heart-wrenching scene. Where they finally made their escape and they have to jump into the water, and he just looks at him, he's like, I can't swim. And you're like, Andy Serkis, no! We've got to get you out! We've got to keep you involved! We love you, Andy Serkis. But alas, it was not to be. And instead of being able to help him get out, there's so many people trying to escape. Our main character, Andor, gets thrust out the side and falls into the water, and it's like, no! There was never a scene going back for Andy Serkis either, which, I don't know, I love the guy. I'd love to have seen him in more. Maybe if they do another series, they can wiggle him in back some way, but because his character has much involvement going forwards. Again, Star Wars lodged isn't there. Overall, I'd say even if you're only, I don't know if I'd say watch it if you're not a Star Wars fan at all or have never watched any of those movies. But certainly compared to the huge amount we've been getting that all you ever hear is negatives, and it's like, I don't really want to watch all. Because people won't shut up about how awful everything is. So it really ends up being really off-putting, but Andor's one of the few shows with the opposite effect. And if you like sci-fi in general, I think because it's not all about the Force and more fantasy-esque themes that Star Wars tends to end up getting itself wrapped involved in. Lots of folks have talked about this over time. But it does tend to be conflated as more fantasy than sci-fi. And, oh, I got turned into a ball and wasted it by just hitting his feet. It's alright, he's nearly dead, no one will notice. But this felt well and truly more sci-fi. Like, if we ended up seeing a Mass Effect series, this would be more in the vein of what I'd hoped for. Biotic powers notwithstanding, there's some fancy shit you could do there. There's so many ads, but it's fine. He's going down pretty quick. This bodes well for today. No, your scrap. Get him down. Maybe we get that Hearthstone cosmetic today.
That's one less goblin on Gallywix's.
No dice.
My venture buddies will take
Fancy
over
lightning
cleanup
shaman
duty.
helmet. We'll hit transmog and we won't get it because we never do. Ah, explosive Hearthstone. Somebody rolled 99. Come on, roll 100. Roll 100. No, of course not. Why would it ever be 100? Oh, look. It is counting for transmog rolls. Oh, no, they're not. Look. I'm the only one who rolled transmog. Everyone else rolled need. They need to separate those rolls. So LFR becomes a little more for farming cosmetics. So in tertiary gaming news, not necessarily gaming news per se, but journalism in and around, one of my favourite teams for coverage, and just video game content for the longest time. I've talked about them before on streams. Giant Bomb. Even though a lot of the original folks who worked there have now gone off and done their own thing just because of all the shit that was happening at that company. A couple days ago, it seemed as though shit had really hit in the fan. They were no longer going to be able to carry on. Loads of people were walking out or getting fired. And it looked like Giant Bomb, as we knew it, was just going to be gone and dead. And that sucks because they've been around for so long and I love them to bits. Even if I don't listen as often these days as I used to. But then yesterday I learned they actually got sold the company, bought it out and went independent. And that's awesome. It's going to be a bit of a financial struggle, as such things are for them, but they're no longer beholden to executives or shareholders or, you know, algorithms. They can just focus on making their content. And in a strange twist of fate, Dan Riker is now one of the owners of Giant Bomb, and if you followed that site at all, I'm sure like me you realise how absolutely ridiculous that is. From the man that Dan Riker is. Truly, what a timeline. But honestly, I'm overjoyed for him. Point where, at some point, if there's ever any more disposable income on my end, I'd love to be able to support them. Because it's just, they've gone through so much, and I hope this means that either they can do more work with some of the older lot, bring some back in maybe not. Don't know if they'd want to at this point, you know, they've walked away. But the possibilities are there. We just gotta hope they get through it all. And I'm pretty optimistic. So I imagine a lot of folks will hear this news and be like, oh, there'll be a vetted interest now compared to where they've been before. Because things are just going to change. It'll take some time. What was wild for this news for me was one of the original co-founders, which is Jeff Gerstmann, and I love him and I love his show. He still does a podcast every week, the Jeff Gerstmann Show, where he just talks about game industry news and stuff. He has stories, answers emails, you know, the whole shebang. He had Dan on the podcast. I've not fully finished the episode yet, but I've got into the bits where they're chatting along. It's like no time has passed at all. They're nattering on like they were on the Giant Bombcast of old. It's delightful to see. And they're like, we're going to do an anime thing at some point. Which, as someone who's an anime fan, it was always a butt of jokes for a long time. And then they started a show together called No Systems Goku, I think, where the two of them watched Dragon Ball Z. And especially as not really anime fans at all, it was really fun to go through that with them. And they're like, do you know what? We've wanted to do this for a while. We've been busy. Jeff's had 3 kids now. So, you know, free time to sit down and watch a load of anime. Not really there. He talked about how when they jumped to watching 5 episodes a week, when they did that podcast, he'd watch 3 the night before and then the other 2 in the car journey. Audio playing through his phone. Absolutely delightful. But they want to bring that back in some way, shape or form. And in the coming months, they'll see what they can do. And, oh, it's happening again. They just get teleported in because they're chasing people. But yeah, I just thought that was really hearty news. May not be applicable to everyone. Wonderful thing to hear.
I need to target something first.
On WoW terms, we're getting more and more data mined and story breakdowns for the next patch, which again, I remind you, has some main story, has those new lore walking stories, one of which is tied to our main antagonist Xalatath, and apparently has some pretty big reveals. So every other thumbnail I see from WoW creators who I follow, it's like, oh, we finally know the truth, and this is not what you think it means, and all that, and I'm like, don't look, scroll past, scroll past. Desperately trying to avoid spoilers, because it's going to be like maybe a month or more, maybe 2 months until any of that actually gets into the live game. So I'm desperately trying to avoid spoilers. So I want to experience and learn those things myself on stream.
Here's to a stand. Oh, check
Mine
out
the red.
big bang.
And the lightning. Just focus on the jazz. Just listen to the jazz.
Shaking out your bones. Toasting to my success. Let's try a little experiment.
Steady on, tank.
How hot does Fletch get before it gets off?
I need to remember to be on this side of him in case I get ledged and ringed out.
I call this the green noise. Hold it right there.
There it is. We did also get some somewhat heartening news from the vet about the cat. For those I mentioned yesterday, she's really not been well. Now she has jaundice
20%.
and started putting her on antibiotics and keeping her over at the vet for a few days. And the antibiotics seem to be working. She's perked up a lot. She's doing better. She's eating more with them. They'll be ringing us sometime this morning to see where we want to proceed. There's still grim options on the table, but if she's perking up and doing better, we keep on the plan is we keep on the antibiotics. We monitor the situation, see how things go. But if they continue to take well, she'll at the very least have a few more weeks, if not months, in her. So we'll have to see how it's gone today, but things were looking hopeful when just a day ago it was looking very grim. So that is a net plus for Kitty Health. There we go.
Nice, nice. Great work, champ.
Transmog buttons
Now,
that will never
you
work.
clean yourselves up before moving on, okay?
There we go. Let's head out. No. Fish people. Grab up our
The
dailies.
flame burns for all of us. When the star shifts seek shelter, may the shadows pass you by.
Did he say when starships seek shelter? What do the Arathi know about starships? Surely I just misheard him. Alright, we are down in Ashkahet. Onward then. More
The code
spider
is dare
insurgents.
to attack our veneration grounds.
Sorry, General, we're
Make
very
them
busy.
regret.
Just the two that way. Off I go then. We give us a beverage before it gets cold. It's actually a cloud-covered day today, so while it's meant to be another hot one, it's actually quite pleasant. Just in the air. It's much cooler. Breath of relief. I've had a lot of reports of, oh, it's the driest, like, lead into summer the UK has had in decades. Which for a country that is meant to be notorious for its grey and its rain, I just find amusing. For the number of years folks have complained, now it's like, oh no, farmers are in loads of trouble. It's getting too hot for people. Hosepipe bans. Potentially. Loads of stuff about water companies and the executives giving themselves loads of bonuses, whilst that is not really a secret. Water stuff in this country is being a bit of a shit show. Again, these are not uncommon problems across every industry these days. At some point a bubble's got to burst, but you know, it probably won't. At the very least, money will always speak louder, but you know, when things start getting proper bad, a lot of folks are being very worried about the state of it getting so dry. You'll have to wait and see. I, for one, enjoy the rain. I've said it before. I'm much more of a rain and grey and clouds than I am burning sun. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy a nice sunny day. But I just prefer the tranquility. So when it gets hot in the UK, it's always more stuffy when it gets to those higher temperatures. When we start pushing into the 20 degrees, which again, for my American friends out there, I believe, last I remember, consider temperature values and the difference between Fahrenheit and Celsius and all of that is you just times it by 3, I think. It's been a while since I've checked on the math, but that seemed about right, last I recall. And now they're saying, in and amongst all these, oh, there'll be another heat wave coming, and we're looking at maybe 30 degrees, and I'm like, no, please, dear God, I'll die. Not again. We had it at one point over COVID where we hit like 35 degrees or something at one point. And it was just hell for me. Just burning alive in the attic like, please. So I'm hoping we don't necessarily get that high here, but it's looking likely. High heats always mean eventually there'll be a thunderstorm though. I do love a good thunderstorm. Internet outages aside, this might well happen. We get a wind that's a little too harsh. Sometimes it can knock out the internet here, and it's like, well, great. I'm not streaming today. Why? Wind. Ah, nightmare. May you lot. You go down, job done. Let's make sure, is this one where we hand it in nearby, or... Nope, let's hand it back over there. Fair enough. The next one. Where's my rep for these buggers looking? It's not a lot every day. It's like 600 a day doing these dailies. If it's 500 every time... Oh, quick maths. Every 5 days we get a rep up. Then you take the weekly into account. And again, the repeatable event seemed inconclusive whether or not it did gain rep or not. Sometimes I've done it and I've noticed a rep up. Sometimes I do not. Ah, Gallywix. Let's go boop his snoot. Assuming we get through. Come on. Accept. Hit the button. Everybody gonna want your goddamn coins. Everyone drift to the left. Try and desperately avoid pulling this mob. Someone always ends up doing.
The horde made you soft.
I'm not being soft. I'm offering you a way out.
Sometimes this platform randomly flips up and I don't know why.
Now watch and learn how a real goblin takes charge.
Of course not. Of course someone pulled it. Every time. Yep, and now it's just going to blast us all. And we can't get back up. Do we ignore it and fight the boss? Does everyone jump down and die? I'll wait and see what the group does. We pull him away by moving round. We're moving. I don't know if it's going to work. Whatever we are, we're out of range for it, but he's not exactly out of the fight. His saw seems to go pretty far. Oh, there's somebody up there now. Tank. Okay, tanks come down. They're now trying to run away. I'm sure it'll be fine. Just pull the boss. Yep, somebody did. Somebody was like, right, let's just get going. I can't imagine it causes too much problems. It's just a little extra DPS the guy's doing up there. We'll be fine. As long as we just stay away from that side of the arena, everything will be fine. He's going down quick enough. This should be all right. Somebody dead. Let's get him up. Somebody else dead. And to be fair, I have died in this fight a couple of times. Mainly just falling down the middle by mistake. I think I got hit by a laser once because I just completely fluffed it. Stay away from the other side. He's still up there trying to get involved. The evening stream yesterday on Avowed, we did get to the new zone, Gallowayne's Teeth. Big, barren volcano in the corner, wasteland-looking zone from when you go in. But when we started exploring about, there are lots of little pockets of differentiators in the environment. A lot of just fancy environment design that changed up the feel of that zone, which I really appreciated. Because it would have been pretty grim for that whole zone to just be derelict and dead. We had the mushroom forests, we had a load of these like red leaf trees, going around cave networks, many lizards. I might say too many lizards. I realized too late what was happening. This is what happens when I try and do commentary at the same time. I'm still garbage at it. Oh, somebody's trying to res me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Do indeed like playing the video game. God damn it. This isn't even like the underpin where I have to really lock in. This is relatively straightforward. Don't stand in the big glowy bit. No excuses. It's okay. I just predict a comment years from now. This dude died in LFR. Garbage. Absolute garbage. Listen. Listen. Play your best every day, every time, without fail. Pretty impressive if you do. Leave me alone. But it's alright. It's a mocking I would accept. Okay, they've been rezzed as well. And to be fair, I'm kind of glad to see in LFR that one of the abilities does in fact one-shot me. So many years in LFR, some of the bigger mechanics you see from the other higher difficulties very clear, oh, this should be one-shotting me and hasn't. So to actually see it kill me here, kind of happy about. But again, these days we've got so many combat reses, especially for this wing where it's just Gallywix himself. It's no problem. As long as the folks about are feeling kind. Which they were, so I'll take it. Now, on the evening stream today, we'll be getting into the city of that zone, Solace Keep, with the Paragroom, which are like these isolationist dwarves that I'm looking after the area. Companion Marius's former home, which I imagine will create lots of problem and tensions as we go, but we'll see how we get on. And then we've just got the northern side of that zone before the main quest takes us to whatever that tree is off in the distance. Hey, good shit. Which feels like it'll be a mini zone of some kind. Which is fine. Look forward to seeing. But we shouldn't have too many, maybe 4 more streams of that left at most, probably. And then we'll be getting on with Doom the Dark Ages, which has officially released sometime today. There was the premium bundle where if you got that one, you got in a few days early. But by all accounts, still doing really well for itself. Everyone seems to be enjoying it. I'm still unsure what difficulty I want to play it on. Because it is meant to be easier than Doom Eternal. But Doom Eternal was very challenging. Even on the the 3rd difficulty up, the Ultra Violence, there were some of those combat arenas that were just really difficult. And the marauding dudes with the shield and axes were just a bloody nightmare. I'm sure I've said every time I've talked about that game, because they are. But with all of that weapon swapping being less necessary, and the playstyle being get in the face, slap them really hard, tank all the shots, do a bit of bullet hell dance and reflect stuff back, do some parrying, I'm like, ooh, that's exactly how I want to play. But Doom Eternal didn't really lean towards that. It was very much you have to keep moving, you have to keep swapping. And if you don't, you're going to go down. You're going to die. And I think I enjoyed Doom Eternal more than your average player. I don't think I enjoyed it quite as much as 2016, because that was just such a refreshing release. And such a standout first-person shooter campaign. That, again, if anyone's not gone and played it, it might well be on Game Pass these days. Or at the very least, it goes on sale often enough on Steam. Even if you're not the biggest first-person shooter fan, it might be the game that wins it. Hey, the line disappeared, Gabe. It might be the game that wins the genre over for you, honestly. Because it is just that good. It's not the longest of campaigns. And the multiplayer for Doom 2016 was not worth playing. And while the Snap Map, I think was the name, of their, create your own maps kind of thing was just a little too fiddly. Hey, 4 dead to the spleesh. Every time people get hit by the tank. Oh,
Great.
I wonder if they do it on purpose. Is there achievement for getting squeezed by the tank? Should probably check. Wouldn't be a hard one to get, but you know.
You want a piece of me?
Right. Only thing we have to think about here is when those bike ads come, we kill them, get on the bike, ram it into the tank. The only negatives I've really heard so far about Dark Ages are story maybe being a little too much, especially when 2016 was so not on the nose, not frivolous, but it took itself seriously in the right ways, and the Doomslayer did not give a toss the whole time. It's like, I don't care what your political machinations are, I don't care why you're trying to tame demons or any of this. Demons bad, me kill. Shut up, punch screen, ignore it. Code. And then just all the codex entries being like these biblical tellings from demons about the Doomslayer. Oh, marvellous. I'm sure the codex entries are probably going to be pretty similar for Dark Ages. you've followed the streams before, I am a big fan of reading the extra literature when it comes to games. Especially in the RPGs. It does add up to the playtime quite a bit. But I enjoy it. And it's not something I see a lot of folks necessarily streaming or getting into at all. For a niche to go for, it's not exactly the most popular, but you know, I'll take it. And then I've heard the dragon riding and the mech sections overstay their welcome. They're maybe not the best. I respect them for trying wacky ideas when it comes to gameplay. But enough people share that sentiment where I believe it. We'll see when we get in there. Otherwise, it's just then figuring out what difficulty we'll play the game on. I'll do a little bit of research beforehand, see what folks recommend. See how they find the Nightmare one. It'll either be Ultraviolence or Nightmare. The default difficulty just sounds like if it's a step down that far from Doom Eternal in terms of the amount you have to juggle and deal with, then I'd be more than happy ramping it up a wee bit. Again, I don't want to be planting my head into a brick wall for hours on end. But I do like to be challenged on occasion. As the underpin streams for the WoW morning stuff may have shown. At best. We'll get him eventually. It'll take time, but we'll get him. Boss is nearly dead. Definitely need to use the revives here. As I say, that'll be maybe in 3 to 4 evening streams time. I mean, maybe this evening I can get through Solace Keep and the northern section of that map in the 3 to 4 hours-ish of the evening stream. In which case, then we'll only need one more, and maybe I go longer on the Friday to finish it. Don't want to rush it, though.
Nice work. Huh,
Rather enjoy myself, but we will see how it goes this evening. Went a little bit longer yesterday as well to keep pushing through, because I just wanted to get to the point where I cleared the bottom half of that zone and did the main quest. And it turned out the main quest was just us getting to a point and being like, oh, we should go to the city. I'm like, alright, fair enough. We'll get over there.
Blow the lid off that joint.
Just to Doom itself, I'm hearing the average playtime somewhere between 15 and 30 hours, depending on how, pardon me, exploratory one gets. And I get pretty exploratory. More than that, I get pretty lost. So there'll be a lot of opening the minimap, which is probably another negative for the game. Just if your minimap's not good enough, that you're constantly opening up the big map every like few minutes, just to double check where you're going. Am I on path to the secret? Have I found the ledge I need to find? Does this path lead this way? You know, all that jazz. It can be a little frustrating, especially when I'm trying to consider the viewer experience now. Like if I'm on my own, I've got some background thing on, or I'm just, you know, taking my time and being lethargic about it. Doesn't really matter. But when it comes to having an audience, these are extra things to bear in mind. But it doesn't mean I'm just going to suddenly be like, right, sod all the collectibles. We're going to helter-skelter full pace through. Skip all the cutscenes. No, even if the cutscenes aren't great, I'm still going to watch them. Because I want to know. And come to my own conclusions. It's like the number of folks who have said over the years, oh, WoW Story's garbage. Oh, do you watch any of the cutscenes? Do you read any of the quests? No. Skip all of them. I think War Within's done a good showing, and enough of the content creators, whether they're WoW ones or not, backing the story a little more. Like, we're not breaking new ground, but it's solid, you know? It's solid. And while not every quest is an absolute banger, you know, we're not at Witcher 3 levels here, but there's enough good shit to want to enjoy that hopefully that's changed some people's habits in how they approach the story in the game. I mean, it's going to be on Blizzard to show that they can follow through with that come the next expansion. They've certainly set up a lot of stuff, and Undermine, while, you know, give or take how you feel about goblins, has been a pretty solid story. And with Ethereals coming up next, you know, there's a lot of intrigue there. There's a lot of lore people want to know. We'll just have to see how it all plays out come midnight. It's going to be the biggest test of this saga. If you can nail that middle chapter, chances are you'll do alright. And Last Titan, I think, has enough big players in it that it's going to be really hard for them to miss. You know? All the reveals about the Titans. We got Illidan, we got Northrend, we got Death Knights, assumably. What could go wrong? Even trying to think positively as we can about Shadowlands, like that first cinematic trailer with Sylvanas, like people were hyped. We're watching that at BlizzCon, people were hyped. But even then you could see, right, we're going to Death Realms, you know, that gritted teeth. There's so much that can go wrong trying to put an afterlife in your game, in your story. And navigating that can become a nightmare. I don't think many stories can handle that well, because the moment you start doing that stuff, it can never live up to the expectations, especially in a game. Like, an all-encompassing afterlife cannot be delivered. You think about, like, what was it in Skyrim? That bit near the end, before you fight Alduin, where you go to, essentially, Valhalla. And it's just a few dudes in a table. In an area that kept bugging out, so it didn't appear as grand or as mysterious. Like, it can never live up to the promise. If you know a game that has done an afterlife that well, or your Deathlands, or whatever you want to call them, do let me know. I'd be curious how much has got out there. I do remember Dragon's Dogma 1, and while this wasn't grand or anything like that, had a fascinating ending when it came to that kind of thing. You defeat the dragon and you learn, oh, last time this story happened before you started playing, the last main character, the Arisen, went through, and then at the end they succumbed and became the next dragon, and then stole your heart, and the cycle continued on. To break this cycle, you now must live as God. I can't remember, pardon me, the specific events that led you to being God, but essentially, when that game ends, it puts you in, essentially, a plane of clouds and a throne. And that's it. You can go back down into the world. You can't do any quests. You can't talk to NPCs. You can't do any shopping. You can't do your romance. You are a ghost. You can't interact with anyone. And the only thing the game gives you is a dagger. And there's a vague hint at the item description, which is like, if it gets too much kind of thing. Which is pretty grim. So it's like, right, my save is either I sit here and do this for eternity and be the benevolent, all-watching God, keeping the world going, but
Something tells me
I can no longer do anything in this world. I exist. And will that not drive one mad? Or, you use the dagger, it starts New Game Plus, and your pawn companion becomes the protagonist. And while that's not a full afterlife per se, that was a fascinating go. And Dragon's Dogma had a lot of problems. It got better with its expansion, but it still had a lot of problems. And I hear, as much as people talked up Dragon's Dogma 2 when it came out this year? Earlier, that was this year, right? Dragon's Dogma 2 did come out this year. It might have been last year, I don't know. It's hard to keep track these days. But that's certainly one on my eventually get to list. But like the first one, Right, Bandit, you just disappeared. Like the first one, it's one I think will be better the moment an expansion comes out and more work gets done there. But by all accounts, it was pretty good. It's just we've had so many RPGs this year. You know, obviously we're going through Avowed. And while Elden Ring is not going to be an RPG, it's still going to be meatier than Doom, probably. You've got Claire Obscura as well. You've had Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It's come out already. That's already like 4 games that are really beefy in terms of story. You've got a load of smaller, like Eternal Strands, while not the biggest of games, still a pretty hefty RPG. Oh, whoops. No, don't hit me. Took aggro off the tank. That's unusual. Now everyone's taking aggro off the tank. Oh no. Is this a shit show? Is it happening? Yep. Oh no. Alright. End me. Listen, I saw people going in, someone threw an attack, so I started attacking. go stand in the lightning. Dear, oh dear. Dear, oh dear. Ugh. Come stand in the lightning. You've given up. Come over here. Come join us. Join us in the pile. There we go. Who's left? A tank. And 5 people not in the room? Oh no. He's going to have to run around, isn't he, for a bit? Oh, no, wait. He's going outside. Terrifying. Sentient slot machine just coming for you. I don't like it. Oh, there should be a shortcut. Haven't we opened a shortcut over there? There we go.
What's shaking, pal?
Liar. I don't have it.
Around.
Son of a bitch. Oh well. It's alright. The Gallagio itself is just here. We're fine. Man, dying on Gallywicks. Wiping here. Rough day for LFR. I don't even know what went wrong there. So it doesn't feel like if I didn't start swinging as soon as I did, that it still wouldn't have swapped aggro to others. Well, let's try not to pull a load of the serving staff. And also not get lost. So we give us a beverage. Make sure you all do the same out there. Keep yourselves hydrated. Oh, he's staying there to guide people. That's very kind. Just enjoying the music. Running through. Because once we're done in the Gallagio and getting our rep up, it's going to be a long time before I come back. There's not going to be, apart from maybe the tier sets, there's not going to be much in the way of transmog I'm going to want from this place in the future. No warlock decided to summoning portal. You, warlock, summon these people. Lazy bastard. Oh, yep, you go for it, skeleton. You use that Forsaken dance. It's a classic. And what alone, that's Age of Empires, isn't it? That's what the priests used to chant when they'd convert people. No, the RTS genre. What was a game that came out which was like... not an auto-battler per se. You had to do a load of unit setup and stuff like that. Like Mechabellum, I think. It seemed to do really well. If you're an RTS fan, just look it up on Steam. You might be pleasantly surprised. It's one that's just on my wish list waiting for a sale at some point. Don't know if it's one I'd stream necessarily. I'd have to do a little more research, but there was enough folks talking about it that it was giving folks that strategy fix they wanted whilst having a really low barrier to entry, which is something that the RTS genre always had problems with, was just getting people in when it was so complicated. The stuff on Game Pass certainly helped, but it's not like that genre's flourishing these days. More's the pity. It's just, it's a very difficult genre for anyone to change up anymore. No, it doesn't really bring people back in a way. There's nothing new and snazzy. How do we make an RTS Battle Royale? You know, how do you change the game in that front? There was a... I think it was just called Savage, right? Where you had some players doing the RTS management and base building. And everyone else was like first or third person boots on the ground. And it was like constantly going battlefields and servers you would join. The game had a sequel as well that kept doing the same thing. Like, that was fascinating. I remember doing it a bit. But that's then, you really have to work together. You have to hope the person doing all the RTS stuff isn't just trolling. Well, it was certainly something that grabbed people's attention for a while. I wonder what happened to those games and studios. The servers are still online. Again, if someone watching live or later in the comments, let me know. Have you played Savage? Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm not insane. I didn't just go into a fugue state and dream up that game. I'm sure I played it with friends at some point. Fascinating idea. But I think a lot of the problem, you think of like Battle Royale of like 100 players dropping in somewhere. You can't really do that for RTS because you've got to then have each player having God knows how many units on screen. Could you do some kind of extraction game that's an RTS? Like get into the whole Tarkov marathon thing? Hunt Showdown and all that? I mean, RTSs are about gathering minerals. Maybe you gather up a load of resources, extract out so you can come in with better units and... maybe there's something there? How many game devs in the chat? Just like, write that down. Write that down. I think it'd be pretty complicated to pull off, to be fair. But there must be some way we could save the RTS genre or bring it back. Doesn't involve, oh, there's going to be a Nexon studio making a mobile StarCraft game. No! You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure they'll make money at some point. Nexon somehow still continues to make money. But... it wouldn't exactly be a net win for the franchise or genre. Nor would it probably be an RTS. I predict that if they do get the StarCraft license, it will be the Raid Shadow Legends-esque of here's your hero characters, and here's kind of a pseudo auto battle-y, but you sometimes hit your ultimate button and you go through levels and you upgrade your buildings and so much of that. It'd be a real shame. That's where StarCraft ends up. We have that game from some former devs, Stormgate, which I was excited for, which was like StarCraft but demons and angels. And then your Space Marine looking faction as well. But it really didn't hit well coming out of early access. And they've had to do a lot of patches, a lot of graphical changes, a lot of campaign and story changes, but they're trying to go for the whole package, you know, co-op missions, story, the competitive multiplayer. And I believe it's going to launch free-to-play, which probably going to help numbers-wise. And I backed it when it was like Kickstartering a long time ago. Hopeful. Like, yes, someone's going for this. They got ex-devs there. I like the ideas they're putting down. But they're still a long way off into that point of release. We'll have to see. That is certainly something when we get into like a full release that I think of streaming. Prior to streaming, there were a number of and there's still a couple of early access games I'd nip at. But nowadays, when I know I'm going to want to stream something, I don't then want to burn myself out playing a large number of hours in early access for the release ticket. That was the main problem for me with like Hades 1. Love that game. Fantastic game. Everyone should play that game. Brilliant. But I played so much of it in early access that a lot of the changes and bonus dialogue and story that they'd done, I had just already gotten past, so it wouldn't trigger. And I'd already put such a huge amount of time in. You know what I mean? I could only do so much more. The new updates and like new weapons and kind of thing, those secret, I like getting the Excalibur Greatsword was pretty cool. Which is why when I started this channel, Hades 2 in early access was like, I really want to see what this game is. I've had it in my backlog for ages. I think it'll be a really good comfy game to get started with for streaming. But again, the moment I hit to the end of it, and it was early enough in early access when I'm like, right, we see a load of the intro, we get through, we see if we can take down the final boss at least the once, which we did, and it was great. It was a good fight. and then hold off doing any more until full release, which should be sometime towards the end of this year. We know it's going to launch on the Switch too. Don't know exactly when, but knowing those devs as well, it will probably get post-launch support too, if it's anything like the first game. I imagine that's probably might be something I then keep going back to on stream, like kind of how we're nipping back at Monster Hunter whenever there's a big update. Because I'm going to play those. And sharing them is something I very much enjoy. Especially got Lagiacrus, big old thunder snake fellow, coming in the summer for Monster Hunter. And he hasn't been back in that series since like the third game that I started playing the franchise with, so I'm really excited to see that and share that. See how they've handled him, see if he ends up being super dangerous, as well he should. But all laggy. All stack up. Don't stand on slam. Oh, there we go. I really like this fight, by the way. Just the two-headed ogre, half mafia boss, half shaman, jumping him around the arena. I need to have a look at how it actually plays on Mythic and the higher difficulties, if it gets much crazier in the mechanics. And it feels really creative. I like it a lot. Like for our Delve Pinnacle bosses, like the Underpin, I'd love to see stuff in the more crazy variety like this. Yeah, sure, kicking the bombs about and dealing with ads is something. But something that just goes completely haywire. Just flashing up all over the place. I mean, to be fair, the Underpin does chuck explosives, grenades, flaming balls from the ads. There's shit going on everywhere. Maybe I just want them to have different colours lining the battlefield. Maybe that's all I need. So it's not just a red hellscape the whole time, so I can't see the flamethrower. So it clips my ankle, and we die, and I get proper salty about it. Son of a bitch. He'll go down before Season 2. Mark my words, he will. We get there. Oh, hit me. Everybody's stuck. He wasn't casting again, right? He wasn't doing his cast there.
In the next life.
Was there just not a tank in there with me and he autoed me to death? Where's the combat log? Yeah, he just slapped me in the face and it killed me. Son of a bitch. Go, we get our rep, we get our crests. One more wing left. About one more daily quest too. I thought LFR gave us our little discs for that weekly quest as well. When did that change? Nope, straight away. Last one. Ah! And then we can get our puzzling cartel chip. Get a heroic piece of gear. Oh, we joined getting into it. Well, I'll take that. It's the last one, so it's alright that a boss has already gone down. Not enough people here yet. Too much shit to stand on. Lovely. All the bosses, this one coming up is usually the one that ends up killing a load of people. He does a big musical number where he summoned a load of megaphones and summons a big, like, crackling circle between some of them where he's immune to damage. And you have to leg it to avoid getting practically one-shot by a wave he shoots out. And for whatever reason, sometimes folks just get a little slow to react to it sometimes. I mean, when I make a mistake on this one, I can just bubble and be like, yeah, paladin things. Jammy bastard. But it's quite fun to just see people absolutely legging it, just reacting a little late. Maybe they've not seen the mechanic before. Week 1 was pretty great because half the group went down. We still got him, but it was just fun to see. It's almost like one of them slow motion moments. You see people just reaching for the zone of safety and getting absolutely thrown into the air. Shame WoW doesn't have ragdoll physics, at least for players. Couldn't have ragdoll in the whole game because the server would break and blow up. But just for players when they die, get flung about would be delightful. They have that thing when you do the explosive mining ores, where it just leaves some smouldering boots. Like, it's a bit of a ways off from a body being flung about the place, but it's cute. So much dangerous sound. In the vein of the Elden Ring Night Range stuff, by the way, just for those keeping an eye on it, there are a lot of articles coming out about the links and potential characters and armor sets from the Dark Souls series being brought in to this Elden Ring game, so just be wary for a few spoilies out there. There's some bits and bobs. After seeing a few headlines, I haven't looked into deep because I really want to be surprised by that. There are plenty of bosses from that old franchise that I would love to be able to fight again within the framework of Elden Ring. And I think for folks who are new to the Souls series, with Elden Ring, due to its success, there's so many bosses and stuff from there that I'm envious they get to experience for the first time. That's one of those things, especially in the Souls series, of going back and having your first time through. There's not quite like it. And of the ones, like, they've only announced, like, officially so far from what I saw, at least in a trailer, like the Nameless King from Dark Souls 3. That dude was a hell of a boss. An optional boss, but an absolute nightmare. It took me ages to get him down. And I loved it to pieces. And the potential hidden lore about the dude as well. Oh, beautiful stuff. Where it tied in. No conclusive answers. Rides a dragon, shoots lightning. Fancy raggedy coated knight. Just beautiful stuff. Obviously within the grounds of Elden Ring, the capabilities at our disposal are a lot higher. Obviously in Night Rain they're going to be limited by the class you pick and what loadout you've managed to discover and loot from around the zone. I can't imagine it will be as hellish as it was in Dark Souls 3. Probably. Again, as someone who's likely going to tackle a lot of that game solo, I mean, we'll see whether it's folks in the stream or friends out and about playing the game. Maybe we'll get some folks in to play with us, but a lot of it will end up being solo. How feasible that is for the giant Cerberus boss they've shown, that goes from 3 heads to splitting into 3 dogs, that's probably going to be pretty tough solo. That's probably going to be pretty mean. And while they haven't got a duo mode where you can play 2-player, they did say, oh yeah, you can play it solo. So there must be some balancing in there. Right, we're going to be fine. Or it's going to be a shit show for a week. And then we're like, right, I can't stream this game solo. But then the question would be, do I just start matchmaking on stream? Where's the thing? What'd I just say? I'm not sure what the answer's going to necessarily be yet. I'm curious to find out. Oh, same spot. I've never seen that happen before. Run, druid! He was just stood at the boss. Oh, bless. Love to see it. We get him down before he does it again, though. Probably. Let's get people up. Beautiful. How do they follow up this music in an ethereal place? It's all just going to be ominous and spooky the whole time. You can't really get jaunty ethereal stuff from what I imagine. Maybe some kind of market bazaar, but that would be the exception to the rule. I think it's very much going to depend on where the raid ends up being. What the raid ends up being. There's still so many details we don't know about the next patch, and where exactly we're going with the ethereals. And if we're going to be working with Xalatath or not, there's a lot of questions. I'm sure the moment the next patch ends up getting released, 0.7, we'll have some answers there. And next week we have Horrific Visions coming in. Which again, that was an event in Battle for Azeroth that I just wasn't playing at the time, I was busy. And you basically go to versions of Stormwind and Orgrimmar that have been corrupted by the old gods, and people are mad and crazy. And you have to kill some of your favourite lore characters. But it used to be on a timer, it was really tied to the gearing system, so it wasn't really ripe for exploration. Whereas this time, they've kind of swapped that around, because it is not as tied to... There's some catch-up gear from what I understand. But it's not as married to gearing, and it's not going to have timers and lockouts and all that shite on it either. So we should just be able to enjoy it. And again, as someone who never played it the first time, I'm really curious to see and explore. I don't know if that then becomes once a week or if it becomes multiple times a week, but we'll see. Right, one more daily. We'll call it for the morning. Good morning, Emilis. How are you doing today? You doing alright? Getting on? You're not back in Siege of Orgrimmar, are you? Tell me you took a break. You kept those runs to 2 rather than the full 7. Or even better, tell me the shoulders and the Phoenix mount dropped, and it's all good. New farm ahead. Unless you went back into Goggles Town. In which case, best of luck. Come here, spider. The worms. Oh, we can go get our weapon upgrade too. Because you were here yesterday, Emilis. So the turbo thing, where they give you the puzzling chips that everyone's been nagging for months to get some heroic gear from the raid. Yesterday, it said only on normal or higher. Today, it said LFR. Which is fantastic, because why bloody not? Fair enough. I'm glad you kept it to the 2 runs to avoid some burnout, Emilis. I'm glad you did. Enjoy yourself some noms now. Well done getting through the workday. Hey, don't say nothing ever drops. You did get Invincible to drop. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It will happen. As Garrosh always says in that cinematic, times change. Not the best character to use for a hopeful thing, but you know. No, they haven't added the 1-button rotation thing. That's the next patch. I mean the catch-up turbo boost thing and these puzzling cartel chips. The Dooners, or whatever people were bloody calling them, and wouldn't shut the fuck up about. So either you get a piece of mythic gear of your choice. It's trinkets and weapons from what I could tell. Or you get a heroic piece. It says on it you get 9 in total. We get 3 this week, 3 next week, 3 the week after, I would assume. Which means in my case, the weapon today, a trinket next week, probably. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll find a fancy necklace. Something like that, we'll see. I need to take a more thorough look through the list at that point. There's certainly a couple of trinkets that I saw when I was like, it does a little bit more than my just gain. I mean, look, that gives 8,000 of a secondary stat, but compare that to something that will actively give me a little healing on some of my swings. When you did the Time-Walking Firelands raid, you got a pink dragon mount. Experiment something or other. Firelands had a dragon mount? What do you mean? I don't remember dragons in Firelands. My brain's like, experiment pink dragon, experiment pink dragon. I can think of the one from Dragon Soul, like the climb up to Deathwing. There was probably a Twilight one where Sinestra was. I mean, I'll believe you. You're going to know better than me when it comes to the mount farming, but I can't remember it for the life of me. I remember those fancy fiery phoenix-looking models, those big firehawks. People really liked those. And there was that boss where you had to kind of... not dragon ride, you know, because dragon flying wasn't in the game at that point. But you would go around trying to get things out of the air behind said firehawk. Man, it was so long ago. Can't even recall at all. I did like the Mullen front. I did run in through Firelands a couple of times. Ragnaros stepping out of the pit of fire and just having legs was one of the funniest things I think they ever chose to do. I think it did take away from Big Fire Tornado that he was, but just the sheer spectacle of him climbing out of the lava on Mythic and seeing people react to that was a delight. It's alright, Emily, don't have to panic. Just urgently. Where's that dragon come from? Who are you? Let's pick up our new weapon. I won't transmog it immediately today. We need to keep... I've said I'm not going to go into a comfy transmog until we kill the underpin, because we'll still be bits and bobs of gearing up before that point. No. Excuse me, thank you. Please don't stand on top of the goblin with your ridiculous mount.
I've seen you around here before. See you around,
Okay,
friend.
there's our free chips.
Be careful out there.
And we want... where's that two-handed mace? Wait. Okay, so we'd have to upgrade it a couple of times. It's got mastery instead of versatility, which is better. We've already bought the enchant. And it deals bits of shadow damage. That stacks until their demise. Assumably then, that will just stay on the underpin. And that's probably going to be really good. There isn't another two-hander, right? Swap this to Ret. There is a basic axe. Why on earth would I take the axe over the weapon with the fancy bit on it? I don't know. Oh, hang on. There's another one. Random stat. And then gain more stat. Oh, that's so boring. Don't give a toss about stats. Fancy dot over time, though. Yeah, it's kind of passive, but... I'm going to take it. I actually think that's probably going to be really good for the underpin.
Don't be a stranger.
And that's okay. It's called Experiment 12B. Drops from Dragon Soul, question mark. But you got it from a cache after the... oh, one of the time-walking caches. Fair enough. Hang on, let's see for you. Mounts. Experiment. Ah. I got caps lock. I always hit caps lock. Oh, yeah, the funny pink version of the old one. Yeah. I remember when folks forget about this. Drops from a lesser cache of the aspects. It's alright. I mean, it says it drops from a cache, but I don't know where the cache of the aspects is. Right. Before we equip our new mace, let's see if we can get it upgraded.
I offer you
Oh,
my
let
aid.
me open these bags first, because I might get some... just junk. You have opened too many bags this week. That's some garbage. Back off, game. Warbound. What is this? What is this counterfeit dealer's chip? think that's probably something I take into the Undermine. I'll check next week. I'll do some Googling at some point. There's always a soft spot for the uglier mounts, to be fair. Oh, yep, I can get it to the same level as my other one. 665, 665, excellent. Oh, nicely done, Emilis. When you hit 100, you get a mount. It's just like one of them Dragon Hawks, I think. If memory serves. Don't think we can upgrade alt else at the moment. No, we're good. How many of the crests did I get to swap over? No.
Until next time.
Okay, I can get some of these. And then I can get some carved. Let's sell us junk while we're here. Clean that up. Move that over here.
Farewell.
Pop open these.
It's still recharging.
I think we've about maxed out most of our upgrades apart from the gilded chests themselves, though. We'll have to see come tomorrow how well this turbo system does in terms of giving us more crests. That'd be nice. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but it'd be nice if it does. Obviously, the limitation is gone. Right, I can upgrade this. And I'm one crest off doing another one. Fair enough, game.
Good health.
Right, let's equip our silly hammer. Oh, it changed its colour from blue to red. Sure, it's not a transmog I'll ever use, but sure. The blue kind of went with what I've got going, and now we're hodgepodge again. Get it enchanted. I believe, Emilis. I believe. It could happen. You might get both. Mob our things into the war bank. And we'll call it for the morning.
I calibrated my prices to be reasonable.
Up. Let's see. Plate. Go with the plate stuff. Leather. We need a leather section now. We'll do that there. And a weapon. Beautiful. Nipped by Garib and Tawib. Sell our weapon. It'd be a well-deserved break at that point, Emilis. You know, a well-deserved break. No, WoW's not going anywhere. I think a break does well when you've hit one of them big goals. Very good. 660 now as well on the item level. Very nice. Alright then. I will say, for now, get a little off that grass. There we go. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed yourselves, don't forget to hit that like button. Helps push the video through the algorithm. So more folks come hang out, play some games with us. Subscribe for more content here on the channel. On the weekdays we're at 9 AM GMT with some World of Warcraft, and between 4 and 6 in the evenings we're here with other games. And you can find playlists to all the stuff we've already covered right here on the channel. Binge to your heart's content. So until next time folks, much love, take care, and bye-bye.
So, an orc walks into a bar with a parrot on his shoulder. The bartender says, "Hey, where'd you get that?" The parrot says, "Duratar, they got them all over the place."